My name is Nadia King, and I am a nurse here at Little Rock Pediatric Clinic. I have been here approximately about 5 years, and love working here, and just being here for the kiddos.
Great. So, the reason I wanted to talk with you today is because I knew you have a background in fostering. So, tell me, how long have you been a foster parent?
My husband and I have actually been foster parents for approximately about 15 years. We've had between 18 to 20 children in our home, and it has been really exciting just to be able to have those kids come in and, transition, and, so it's really been a rewarding experience.
Is there a certain age group that you guys have fostered?
We normally try to stay around probably like the age range of like 8 and 9 and older. A lot of people prefer babies, and we're not, of course we're not picky, but we know a lot of those kiddos at those age, most of the time people really don't want to, foster those children, but a lot of times those are the ones that really seem to be the best to foster because they can interact with you. A lot of them can engage in conversations, tell you what they want, what they don't want. So the older kids have really worked out for our family because ourselves, we have children of, that are older, and so it kind of, came in, and our children were able to, help and, kind of get them acclimated to being in our home.
So, some of the fostering, have you done it while your kids were still living in the home as well?
Yes, ma'am. We actually, at one point, we had 9 children in the house, and it was fun, but it was stressful at the same time. But we had 9 children, and my husband and I, actually, we have 4 biological children together. They're all currently adults right now, but at the time they were younger. So we had 9, and it was fun. It was a fun time. It was just a lot of adjusting on everybody's part, not just my family, but also as for the children, because some of them might have not had siblings from where they used to reside, but being at our house, having that many, I think it was a little bit exciting for them just to have that many kids around. So yeah.
So, do you guys choose to take sibling groups? Is that something y'all do?
We actually, it's basically whatever they call us with. If they have 2 or 3, and a lot of it depends on your home, how many rooms you have, how many children will be sharing a room, if they're the same sex. So a lot of things come into play depending on how many children you can take in. We've actually taken in 3 siblings at one time, and that was pretty neat because I think it gave the kids a chance to be around family. Even though they were removed from their home, they still had family with them. So we've taken, I think the most at one time has been 4 that we've taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say you fostered for about 15 years
Mm-hmm.
now. How did you make the decision? How did that come about?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny that you asked. My youngest daughter, who's now in her 20s, she was in grade school, elementary school. I want to say maybe around kindergarten, first grade. And there was a friend in her class that she was really upset about. So she came home and she was telling me and her father that this, little girl was being taken from her home because of abuse, and she was going to have to be, put in foster care. Now, at the time, my daughter didn't, she wasn't aware of what foster care was, and I could just tell, just listening to her, how sad she was and upset she was about this little girl having to leave. And the first thing that came to her mind was, can we keep her? And me and my husband just kind of laughed, and we were like, well, sweetheart, I don't think it works like that. So at that point, me and my husband had a long conversation, and we were like, hey, we got the space. This is something that we've always had a love for, because we've always, in our community, we help out with other children, trying to educate them, just spending time with them. And I told my husband this would be a good avenue for us to be able to, broaden what we do by helping kids and bringing them into our home. And so at that point, we decided to call a family meeting because we had 3 other children that were older, and we were just worried how they would adjust or how they would feel about bringing other children into the home, invading their space, or, just things of that nature. So we had a family meeting and we talked about it, and much to our surprise, they were really excited. And we knew our youngest daughter was, all in. So when we talked to those 3, it really made a big difference. So from there on, we just started doing foster care, and we've been doing it ever since.
So what would you tell people who are looking at fostering as far as where to start? There are different organizations like the Call, or you can go through DHS.
Yes, ma'am. We went through the call. The calls process was a little bit shorter than actually going through DCFS. We were blessed because our church organization, our church that we attend, was actually a pilot for fostering and adoption, and they would have different meetings. People come in and basically just kind of make us aware of the need for foster parents in Pulaski and Saline County. And so at that point, that kind of sped up the process for us to becoming foster parents. You have places like our organizations like Project Zero, and you mentioned the Call, and then DCFS is one of the main ones you really want to get in touch with, because they are the foundation of it, far as getting you set up, letting you know the requirements, the criteria that's needed to become a foster parent. But these days we all have smartphones and we're computer savvy, so you can Google either one of those, and they will, and they even have testimonies on how to, being a foster parent and what you can do, and places you can actually come and get material just to learn about fostering.
So what do you think is, and this is kind of a tough one, but the best part about fostering? Your favorite thing about it? Can you name one or 5 or 6 things?
Oh, it's a lot of them. I guess to narrow it down and just bring it all together, the best part about fostering is when you first see that child and they're scared, they're afraid, and all they really want is just somebody to love them. They just want somebody to make them feel a part of their family. And just bringing them into your home and just giving that love and that care, and then being committed, to being there for them, is just one of the best things in the world. And, my husband and I, we tried to do a little family dinner out with the kiddos at least once a week. And I think one weekend we decided to go out for pizza. We had just got this little boy, and he had to be about 6. And we went out for pizza, and he was just so excited, and he was like, this is the best day ever, and I just looked at my husband and I teared up, because I'm like, this is something we do as a normal thing with our family, and for this child to feel like just going out to dine in restaurant to eat was the best day ever, that really kind of touched me. So just being able just to see their smiles and knowing that you're there, you're that advocate for that child to try to make things as comfortable as possible during their time of this transition. So,
and this is on the flip side of that, what's one of the more challenging or tougher things that you've found as far as with fostering?
The toughest one, or the toughest thing, has been saying goodbye. You have to really have your mindset on, the purpose of why they're there, and, what could possibly happen. Because, when they first come into your home, you're excited. You're just, eager to just, get this child in and just, try to make them feel a part of the family. And the thing is, you never know when the time might come, especially with fostering, when they might have to leave. Because sometimes you may have them for a day. We've had kids where we kept them only, 2 days. It may be weeks, months, years. So that's the only, hard part, is not knowing, when they might leave or if they're going to leave. And, so it's just the unknown part of it all. But just knowing that, when they leave, it's like feeling like someone is like snatched your heart from you, And so I tell my husband all the time, one thing I know, that the pain means that we love that child well. So if I'm feeling that, then I know that our family did the best that we could to make that child feel comfortable.
And some of this we may have already touched on with, kind of how people can get involved, but
Right.
what advice would you give to someone that's kind of on the edge or considering being a foster parent?
I believe there are a lot of myths out there about being a foster parent. Some people say that the kids are the worst. Some people say that you won't get the support from, DHS or DCFS, or there's not organizations out there, and the myths are not true. I tell people all the time, find someone that that is connected or involved in fostering, or even adoption, and just kind of get insight from them on what it is, because it's not easy. Even with our own children, we have our good days and we have our bad days, and that's the same expectations that you're going to have, or you're going to see with these children you're bringing into your home. But the blessing part of it is that you're being able to help someone that can't help themselves. These kids have been traumatized by being, taken from their home and not knowing. And some of these kids are picked up from school, and all they know is they're going to some, unfamiliar place, and they're scared. They don't know what's going on. So, they've been traumatized from being taken from their home, from their family, and from their friends. So, if you have a heart and you really want to make a difference and you really want to help, fostering is one of the best things you can do. And I tell people all the time, they tell me, my husband, oh, you're so blessed, and or you guys are godsend, and the kids are lucky to have you. And we tell them all the time, no, we're lucky to have them. Because of them, our home is better. My life is better, and the experience, just being able to help those kids is just so rewarding, because you just don't know. You never know what you might do or might say that might be a life-changing situation for that child. So if you're willing and you're able, I admonish, people that do foster care, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of sacrifice, So if you're that person that's willing to sacrifice and to give, fostering is the way to go.
So that's a great, kind of, I guess, encouraging piece for people that are thinking about it. If you could, just kind of final thoughts, if there's one thing or multiple things, that you would just really want to make sure people know about fostering, or your experience, is there anything in addition to what you've already told me?
Yes, I tell people all the time, if you have children, don't compare your children to these children. Don't try to raise these children like your children, because these are different children and they come from a different home. Their environment might not be as structured as yours. So you have to take into account that you have to be open. You have to be willing to spend time to them. Find a bond. Allow you spending time with them to get to know them, to see what their wants, what their needs, and then at the same time you'll start to see the child start to bond with you and your family. So I tell people all the time, if you're going to do this, you got to be open-minded, you got to be open-hearted, and you got to be willing to step in and do whatever it takes, because it's going to be some nights where you may be up late with this child, where you're used to sleeping all night, or you may have to go to school because the child is having some issues at school. So it changes the dynamics of your family, but I promise you it's worth it.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For doing this and for what you do. I did see in one thing an interview that someone from DCFS did, and they said that last year in Arkansas, 7,200 kids were in foster care, and any given day up to 4,000 are in foster care,
ma'am.
but there's only about 1,300 open foster homes.
Yeah.
So there's such a need. We certainly see a lot of kids in and out of foster care in our own clinic, and great foster families and foster parents are so needed to advocate for those kids.
Yeah.
So.
And can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
I want to tell people as well, don't think that you have to be married to be a foster parent. And some people think that they have to have a two-parent. No, you can be single. You can be, maybe up in age and, retired. It doesn't matter. If you're willing to open your doors and open your heart, I tell people, these kids just need somewhere to lay their head, to feel love. So if you're willing to do it, then the foster care system needs you.